Yeah. This is the Legacy League. Tell me what will your legacy be? Yeah.
The summer 2024 regular season in Rhode Island is complete, and it's only fitting that we end the regular season with an overtime game. With how competitive this season's been, we have all 12 seeds ready for you. The bracket's all set. We're going to go over how those teams got there and some of the tiebreakers for you, and we're going to preview that first round. We actually have a first round as the top 4 teams get a bye to the quarterfinals. So we have our first round games coming up next week. Let's talk about how we got there. Kyler standing by. Matt may be joining us. I'm sure he will shortly. Let's start with that overtime game, Kyler. The Skyhawks and Washed Up Boys, a battle for the 3 seed. By this point, this was the last game on Tuesday night. So these teams knew that the 1 and 2 seeds were locked up, even though there was an outside chance, like we talked about, that they could climb up higher. But coming in, a battle for 3. The loser was 4. These teams played like it was for a playoff spot. Forget the 3 or 4 seed. It is the Skyhawks coming out in overtime, 73-69. Noah James, 43. He's been huge for this team running the show. And no Hendel Leroy for the Washed Up Boys, but they still got it to overtime. Kevin Gonzalez, 22 points. Leroy Brown with 20 and 12. Those two really stepped up to kind of help lead the Washed Up Boys here, but they come up just short. Kyler, this one would have to be a finals matchup for these teams to meet again. But 2 teams that expect to be in the semis, potentially in the finals, think they can compete with anybody. What did you see in this game from both of these teams that leads you to believe that they could possibly make the finals and or win it all?
I actually wasn't very impressed by either team in this game. I thought that low basketball IQ was on display of 2 teams that really could surprise people and make it into the finals. I wouldn't be shocked, but given this game, the likelihood of that happening, I think, decreases a little bit. A lot of focus on talking smack and less focus on playing good basketball hurt both teams here, really. Skyhawks in particular, with Omar not being able to complete the game, and 2 teams playing without a star at that point, with no Henry role in the second half and no Omar in the second half for Skyhawks. It was not a quality game of basketball, but at the end of the day, the Skyhawks will take it. They'll move up to the 3 seed. That's huge, but we'll hope to see some better basketball in the finals, I hope.
Negative Kyler on display, just right off the bat. I love it.
Look, I love the Skyhawks this season. I was disappointed.
Yeah, winners of 7 straight. All right, so they have something to prove still, despite winning 7 straight, getting that 3 seed, beating the Washed Up Boys, both teams 6-1 coming in. And like we talked about, the Skyhawks, the 3 seed, they get a bye. The Washed Up Boys, the 4 seed, they get a bye. We're going to try to save, so you have to listen a little bit unless you want to go find the bracket. We'll save exactly who they could potentially play for after we go over these games. Let's get into another game that was it locked up the 1 seed for Lob City. Providence defense only had 3 players, and it was a 4-point finish. A 6 point, 86-80. It is Lob City finishing 8-0. But what sums it up is a Cody Crawford sigh kind of after the game. One of those sighs of relief as Lob City holds on. We talked about it. They held on against a 3-man Providence defense team. Impressive performance from them. We talked about Lob City finishing 8-0. They will be the 1 seed. Providence defense entered week 8 with 3 wins. They leave the regular season with 3 wins and ultimately get the 7 seed because of some tiebreakers that, again, we'll go over after, but they didn't play the Air Mambas. I don't believe, and there was a 4-way tie of 3 and 5 teams, so all of those teams didn't play each other, so that goes out the window, and it is point differential. They had the second best point differential, putting them in the 7th spot, but against Lob City, Kyler, as I got word Matt is joining shortly, so we love that, but Jesus Thames, 33 points, Juan Jimenez, 24, Jacob Darber, 23, and that's it for Providence defense, so that's how they get to 80. 8 for 26 for Lob City from 3. I think at times it felt like a little shakier as Matt jumps in. I love it. And, still 59% from the floor. We'll go to Kyler and we'll get Matt in quick on this Lob City Providence defense game. Kyler, what was the missing piece that didn't allow Lob City to pull away? Because it felt to me like just maybe it was Providence defense being, really into it. But what was missing for Lob City?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll start off by saying that was the performance of the season by any team, keeping that game that close all the time. But I think they were helped out by Lob City. They were sleepwalking at the start of the game for sure, and then as the second quarter went on, they got a lead out, and then they couldn't close it. It didn't look like they were playing 80%, and then maybe right at the end they had to be like, oh wait, we got to actually win this game. But just in general, I think play that game 10 times, Lob City wins it 10 times, and this is the closest one out of them. But it's still, what a performance to keep that even close with just three people against the number one undefeated team.
And I think we'll go to Matt quickly just on kind of his Providence defense take. But as the 7 seed, if they were to beat the 10 seeded All Waves, spoiler, they would then get the game breakers. So they did this with 3 players against Lob City is my point. If we're going to kind of look ahead, that's not the, as the 2 seed, all right, we got the 2 seed, we're the game breakers, like we had a really good year, and a Providence defense team that's playing really well is your first playoff opponent in the quarterfinals. That just kind of goes to show the depth of the league this season. Matt, go wherever you like on this one, jumping in, but Lob City, Providence defense, a 6-point finish.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed with Providence defense with just having 3 guys. That's crazy enough to go up against Lob City with just 3 people and keep it that close in single digits. And, they played hard defense the whole time. And Lob City did play a little lackadaisical, I thought, at first. Mostly in the first half. Then they realized, all right, we kind of got to pick it up. But I thought it was a great game for Providence defense. They played great D like they always do. And I think it's going to be a great game for them against All Talk Sports round 1. I think that might be one of the better matchups we get to see.
All Waves. I might have lied. All Waves. They get the All Waves. Still, though, because All Waves have some size. Yeah. And so speaking of Lob City really quick, and, we'll preview who they could get the winner of in a second because we didn't ruin it, even though Matt tried to sneak in All Talk Sports there. For, Lob City, if they had lost this game, they didn't play. Did they play the Skyhawks? I don't think Lob City did. No, they didn't. So they didn't play Skyhawks or Washed Up Boys. Stay with me here. And one of those teams had to win, which means one of them, because they played each other, was going to be 7-1. The Game Breakers were 7-1, and if Lob City had lost, they would have been 7-1, and it would have been a point differential. Lob City still had a huge point differential for the tiebreaker, but that's that slim chance we talked about of some funky things happening right at the end of the season. So they still had some things to play for. They obviously want to go undefeated and now really finish off undefeated. Lob City gets the win. Cody Crawford led the way with 24. Joe Secator for 13 from 3. So I think that was kind of maybe part of what was missing. I mean, in my just watching the game, right? Forget the stats. Like a lot of those shots he usually makes, Joe Secator was missing. And I think that kind of left the door open for Providence defense. Nuri Mahmoud, 19-10. Kavai Simpson, 16-12 for Lob City. All right, next up on the slate is the Game Breakers, that 2 seed, and they had an interesting one, and we're still on Tuesday night. So what a night of basketball on Tuesday night there in Week 8. 102-94, it is the Game Breakers locking up the 2 seed with the win. All but locking up, right? Because they beat the Skyhawks. Yeah, sorry, I have to make sure I'm correct here. The Game Breakers do, though, because of the win, secure the 2 seed. An 8-point win over the Air Mambas, but it was close down the stretch. And we'll go to Matt first on this one. I'll give you the stats in a second. But the Air Mambas were right there, thanks to Aiden Dozos, 34 points. He made 8 threes. Nick Lemoyne had 27 and 13. Luis Ramirez with, perfect from deep, 3 for 3. And he finished with 17. So, Matt, the Air Mambas get the 6 seed, which means they will, if they win against Velocity, will go on to take on the Skyhawks, the 3-6 matchup potentially in the quarterfinals. A lot will happen before that, but a strong performance for the Air Mambas, Matt. That, sure, you want to win, but what'd you like from them in this one?
Yeah, I thought they had a really strong performance this week, especially having Aiden DeZoe back in the lineup. He made a huge impact. I think he had 34 points or something, which is a huge impact for them. And I think at full strength, they're a very competitive team, and I was really impressed in the way they played against the Game Breakers, especially their defense. They contested a lot of the 3-point shots, and the Game Breakers just they didn't shoot their best from three, but they still found a way to win, and they impressed us like they always do every week. And I'm very excited for the Air Mambas matchup too, and coming up, if they beat Velocity, it could be a huge game for them and huge upset win potentially.
Yeah, it's crazy that that would be an upset because the Skyhawks is who is 7-1 through the regular season, and the Air Mambas 3-5. Kyler, for the game breakers, let's not they pulled this one out, 10 of 25 from three, so I'm sure that's a good percentage. I almost expect them to be in the 30s, like 35, 40, attempts from three, and they weren't. And I think it's because they knew they had an advantage kind of going to the basket against the Air Mambas, so I'll let you touch on that. But that almost, a three-pointer is just different. I think for the game breakers, when they're hitting threes, it almost gets them going more. And sure, they have huge dunks. Charles Alexander, Jose Mercado, Gian can attack it. Hachi's so crafty going to the basket. I just named their whole team. So, they're very effective going to the basket, but it almost feels like when they're making a ton more threes, they're more into it, which doesn't sound right because they're 7-1. But what do you think about that, Kyler, and their performance against the Air Mambas?
Yeah, I would like them to stop shooting threes. I think John Avedizian in the last 2 weeks is 4 for 25 from three. That's not something you can do in the playoffs. It was clear they didn't have Jose Mercado and Charles Alexander in the first couple of weeks. And it was clear that if they needed to, they could play the three-ball game and they could win. And they could take 50 threes a game and hit 30 of them and just run away like that. But now with them in the lineup, I don't want to see them taking threes. I'd like it as an option, but with these 8.5-foot rims, it's so hard to stop people like Jose and people like Charles Alexander. And so this is a team that I don't see with those four people how anyone could beat them. Even that's including Lob City, who did beat them earlier. Again, Jose fouled out super early, and it's just a different situation right now. I think that get the ball to the big men, let them do their thing. When you see a 3-point shot get taken, it's almost like, okay, that's a chance for you to get a basket back.
Matt, you missed it. The first game, we had negative Kyler make an appearance. He's just in a bad mood. And here he goes again. He wants them to stop shooting threes. He brings up Gion's stats. I didn't put him up to that. Let me just put that way. I like Gian. If we play his team.
I like Gian.
No, I'm teasing.
He plays great defense. I think he should stop shooting it so much.
He doesn't need to take out the making every three from here on out, attitude that he's going to attempt to do, which of course everyone's always trying to never miss. So I'm kidding, but bringing that up on the show, Kyler. All right, well, we know where Gion's going to be staring down. He's going to find Kyler next game when they play, and they will get the winner of Providence Defense and All Waves as the 2-seeded game breakers, awaiting the winner of the 7-10 matchup. And on that point, to kind of finish this one up, against either of those teams, it won't be as easy for them just to get to the basket. They will almost be better off going back to relying on that 3-point game to spread out the defense and then get back to their attacking ways. It's good, Kyler? Anything else you want to bash anybody on?
An equal balance would be nice.
All right, that's a good way to put it. Equal balance. Let's get to the All Waves, that 10 seed we've been talking about. They fall, which is kind of why they're in that predicament, to All Talk Sports by 7 to close out the regular season. All Talk Sports, winners of 2 straight, I believe. 2 straight. Kyler, is that right? Maybe.
That's
yeah,
right.
Sure. We're going with it.
Muffin tops, but it's right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said it. 2 straight. The All Talk Sports, they get their 3rd win, and that propels them to the 9 seed. So I made it sound maybe better than it is. They'll take on the 8-seeded Road Dogs because of the win. They finish at 3-5. The All Waves, with the loss, fall to 2-6, and we're the lone team with 2 wins as the 10 seed. We're going to move a little more quickly because I do want to preview some stuff. But this game, for All Talk Sports, let's give you some stats here. Mason, so 6 players with at least 11 points for All Talk Sports. So talk about balance. And Tom DeAndrea, 14-6, and is like that big presence down low that I think really helps them open up some of the outside shooting for Mason Link. 15 points and 3 threes. Steven Soulier, 15 points and 3 threes. Justin Bianchi, 15 points. Not 3 threes, but that's okay. 3 players with 15 points for them in this win. And the All Waves, We said it when they showed up in week 7, almost had too many big guys and not enough of the guards. And they show up to week 8. They're like, we'll fix that. All guards. But Juwan Gamble, a bright spot, and he's been really good all year. 26-7 for him. Terrence Gallo, 27-11, super effective. Josh DePina returns. This team, we need, especially against Providence defense, them all being there with a chance to kind of rotate and maybe go big with those 3 big guys together, because Juwan Gamble can shoot. Kyler, talk about either team here, and we'll kind of touch on both of them because they have some big first-round matchups coming up next week.
They're both definitely the underdogs coming into this, but they're both teams who, on their day, can spoil a good team's night. We'll have to see, because you never know which version of these teams you're going to get for both of them. And that's just why they're so hard to talk about. For the All Talk Sports, it's the same guys, but sometimes they're playing well and fluid and playing good defense, and sometimes they're taking 30 seconds of possession and getting off a contested 3. And for All Waves, sometimes they've got all their players and they're playing great basketball, and sometimes they only have big men and sometimes they only have guards. So it's so hard to predict either of these 2 games. I'm so excited to watch them.
And to that point, we'll go to Matt quickly on both of these teams. This kind of sums it up, and I know some players are missing for the All Waves. 40-38, All Talk Sports out-rebounds the All Waves, which you don't expect to say when both teams are fully there, but that's how this goes. And 13-12 offensive rebounding advantage for All Talk Sports. So those second possessions, helping them be more consistent and pull out the win here in week 8. Matt, wherever you'd like on this one, but 2 teams with a lot to play for next week.
Like you mentioned with All Talk Sports, they had 6 guys with at least double digits, they played very good team ball. They also had 19 assists, so they were moving the ball well with each other. It's also a team, they don't really have a defined start player. They all just come in every week and they play hard and they play together. They're also one of the younger teams in the league too, so they've always got that little spurt of energy, I'd say. But All Waves are also another good team, I think. They're both 2 very competitive teams that played well against each other. And the All Waves, like Kyler said, and All Talk Sports can both make some noise going into the playoffs, I think. Who knows? If they get the right matchup, they could definitely pull out a win, I think.
And it is All Talk Sports, as we said, as the 9 seed, getting ready to take on the 8-seeded Road Dogs, who earned their 3rd win in Week 8. They took down the Muffin Tops, the Road Dogs did, 124-65. Balanced scoring, 5 players with at least 18 points. So everyone who played scored at least 18 for the Road Dogs. We can almost kind of spin this ahead. So let's get Kyler in on the Road Dogs, and then we'll flip it back, and I'll make Matt talk about the halfway crux before we really preview the playoff matchups. And I'm going to put you guys on the spot, so we're gonna test your abilities here on the postgame show, as you guys are some seasoned veterans over there. It'll be a fun time. But Kyler and the Road Dogs, as they get ready, so a big win over Muffin Tops, 5 players. They almost sometimes have too many players, and now 5 players, so they're kind of playing both ends of that. But as they get ready to take on All Talk Sports, not really a defined star for them, almost makes them harder to defend, right? There isn't let's stop this guy and this is our game plan. You kind of have to see who's on. Kind of the same thing for the Road Dogs. They're showing that a lot of players on their team can do a lot of different things. Shaq Ardrey, Del Butler, Anthony Lyons will hit shots. Rion Watts will be back, and he does everything for that team as their facilitator, so that'll be a huge addition for them against a team against any team, but against especially All Talk Sports, Kyler. So Road Dogs specific, what do they have to take from this regular season where it's been back and forth for them? I mean, they've been in close games, come up short. All Talk Sports is 1-2 straight. So what do you think about the Road Dogs, leaving the regular season?
Yeah, the Road Dogs, they have a win against Velocity and a win against Muffin Tops. But other than those 2 games, they've definitely had the hardest schedule out of every team. Every single week they're playing against a team in the top 6. So they haven't played All Talk Sports, and it's because they've been playing other good teams. So big win that they had against the Air Mambas earlier in the year where they played good team ball, communicated well. I think that they should win this upcoming game against All Talk Sports. With Del Butler against Thomas DeAndrea, that frees up space for Rion Watts, like you talked about, and for Kareem Cooper to go ahead and exploit their matchups with their size and maybe quickness in the game. So I think they'll win, but who knows?
Don't give away your pick. That's the fun game that's coming up where you guys are making picks. So so keep it to yourself over there. The Muffin Tops, Matthew Dagnall, 19 led the way. Frank Smith, 18 and 14, and Tim Hayes, 15 and 9. So some scoring, 65 points for the Muffin Tops as they get ready to take on the Halfway Crooks, who earned the 5 seed with the win in Week 8. Let's get Matt to see how many brownie points he's going to get here as we before we get to the picks. Just about the Halfway Crooks in Week 8. They take down Velocity 127-57. The Halfway Crooks, the lone team, leaving the regular season with 5 wins. Charles Correa dropped 50 and 10 threes. He's been hot. I mean, I think that's 19 threes. So I'll be the good guy. Kyler can be the bad guy. Gian shooting what he is. I have to bring it up again. Charles Correa has made 19 in 2 games, right? And so that's in there, which is makes me smile, right? 19 threes in 2 games. Dom Langston, 29 points and 17 rebounds. And for Velocity, Brody Carcroft, 20 and 6. Ashton Alcock, 17 and 9. And 15 threes for Velocity, where this one just kind of got out of hand early. 32-10 after the first quarter. So Matt, the Halfway Crooks finished as the 5 seed. We'll preview who they could potentially play in a second. But just from this team in the regular season and the Halfway Crooks, you can even kind of go into, do they have a chance to crack into the semifinals? Like, what do you think?
I definitely think they have a chance to crack in just because they're the 5 seed, but I'd say they're a definite 5 seed where there's that top 4 been playing very well. And every time the Crooks have played against a top team, it's always a very close game, but they always just come up short. And then when they're playing all the bottom teams, they're not blowing them out, but it's usually a low double-digit lead that they win by. So I feel like they kind of stand alone in the standings, and they can easily make their mark in the playoffs against a team that matches up well with them. Especially if Charles can keep shooting like this. I mean, he shot 10 threes on 21 attempts, 47%. That's pretty good when you think about it. So. And I know you guys were moving the ball well, too. How many assists? 32 assists. That's very impressive. Is that a season high for the year? Or?
Yeah, let's go with it. Sure, but yeah, and I think that has a lot to do with a team in the Halfway Crooks that has some experience, right? And so we can get to that when it comes to playoff time and playing. I will say, just to correct Kyler here before we get to the good stuff, the strength of schedule would go to Lob City and the Halfway Crooks. Just by actually the Halfway Crooks played Velocity. So did Lob City, right? But we're picking nits over here. We're not. It is close though. It is close. But despite that, the Halfway Crooks 5-3. They lock up the 5 seed. Just missed the bye, but that sets up a 5-4 matchup in the quarterfinals if the Halfway Crooks were to advance, and a rematch from Week 1 with the Washed Up Boys, who do get the bye as the 4 seed. All right, so let's get to some of this playoff preview stuff here as we kind of wrap this up. We have 4 first-round games, and then at the end I will make the guys pick their finals and their champion. But the fun part of this, and I'll get to it in a second, is they are going to pick a winner of each of these, and we'll go one by one of these first-round matchups and give one word as to why. So it's going to be very quick, but that's the point. If their word is good enough, maybe I'll let them give you 2 words or 3 words. But the goal is a winning team and their one-word why. It's my favorite game, the one-word game, coming up. All right, let's try to go in order here on the schedule. So it is scheduled out on the website. We will be kicking off Monday, the 6-seeded Air Mambas and 11-seed Velocity. Okay, the winner of that will get the 3rd-seeded Skyhawks. Think March Madness numbers, right? 3 and 6 in March Madness is a thing, right? In the same section of the bracket, okay? So it's all the March Madness matchup, 6-11, 7-10, 5-12, right? So Air Mambas and Velocity. We'll go to Matt first, and I'm serious. So pick your winner, all right? And then your one word why you have that team winning. Matt.
I'm going to take the Air Mambas on this one just because they've been a
No. That's like 7 words. All right, so Air Mambas, and I'm serious. What's your one word why they're gonna win?
Just better, I guess. Better.
Okay, better. That's fine. We'll go with that. Better. Okay, it's tricky. It's not as easy. If anyone else wants to come on and play the one word game, you're more than welcome to. Kyler, Air Mambas velocity. So okay, first, who you got?
I got the Air Mamas.
Okay, and what is your one word why?
Defense.
All right. Well, so now I'm going to lay it in there. Now, you can't use the same word twice, so have fun with this one. All right. So Kyler has used defense. All right. And, we've talked about these teams a lot. I will let you guys jump in at the end with your favorite matchup, and I'll let you actually talk. Okay. But let's keep rolling with this. So next up on Monday night will be the Halfway Crooks and Muffin Tops. Okay. So we'll go to Kyler for this one. Your team and your one word why you think that team will win.
I got the Halfway Crooks, and I'll use physique.
Okay. All right. Not walker as in like an old person with their walker, okay, great. Elder, none of that. Great. Right. Matt, who you got in this one?
I'm going to go with the Crooks on this one.
Okay. And what's your one word?
Faster.
Okay. Fast. Okay. I like it. So then there's no repeating the words. Here we go. Tuesday, we get to some of the seeds that are a little closer. Our 8-9 matchup kicks off Tuesday night, 7:15. Road Dogs, the 8 seed, and the 9-seeded All Talk Sports. Let's go the other way. Matt, who you got, and what's your one word?
I'm going to go All Talk Sports.
Okay, and the one word?
Shooting.
Okay. There you go. See, this is good. It makes everyone think a little bit. I like it. Kyler, all right, who you got?
I got the Road Dogs.
Okay.
Passion.
All right. Well, yeah, that would, if they are passionate, I would expect the Road Dogs, which they're always passionate, but they can bring that passion and use it properly. I like their chances, and the Road Dogs and All Talk Sports. All right, the last one, and then I'm going to let you guys get back in and pick a matchup and have your 30 seconds here. Providence defense, all waves. Kyler, who you got?
I got the Providence defense.
Okay, and what's your word?
Jesus.
Okay, I like it. All right, that he is a key. Jesus Thames for the Providence defense. Matt, who you got?
I'm going to go with Providence defense as well.
Okay, your one word.
Passion.
Did he just use it twice? All right, you cheater. All right, so
my word there.
I thought he said pride. I'll go pride then.
All right, there you go. I like it. All right, so we'll go, Kyler, pick a matchup, most likely the 8-9 or 7-10. And so I'll put you on the spot. We'll let Matt redeem himself with the Providence defense, one word. So, Kyler, you get Road Dogs and All Talk Sports, your X Factor player and key to this one.
Yeah, well, it's got to be Del Butler is the X Factor player, because the way that All Talk Sports will win this game is if they get through Thomas DeAndrea. And I think Del Butler is the type of person where he can hit the threes, but he can also defend the big man. So if he's on point today, and then the rest of the team, they're all firing, then they'll win this game by maybe even 20 points. But if he gets beat and if he loses that matchup, I could see All Talk Sports kind of sneaking this game.
All right, I like it. Providence defense, all waves. I mean, an easy word is attendance, kind of for both of these teams. So you guys, you blew it on that one. I'll take that word, and I win the whole game with that one word. It's a great word for both of these teams. But Matt, you had Providence defense. Who's your X Factor player and why?
Well, like you just said, attendance is going to be big in this, and if they all show up, I think Jesus Thames is going to be the X factor in this game, because always they don't really have a huge paint presence, I'd say, and he's a very paint-driven player. He's always crashing hard to the rim, and I think he's going to find success against the All Waves with that and lead them to a win.
And it might be foul trouble, which I would have let you hyphenate a word if you got fancy. That could have been your word, like foul trouble, maybe for both teams, but especially for the All Waves. Right, they're guys getting foul trouble because of that attacking presence of Providence defense, and that can swing things as well. All right, the bracket will be online. I don't really even want to. I'll share it. Give me 1 second. We'll put the bracket up here in a second. Oh, wow, I can't even do it. All right. Never mind. Bracket is online. thelegacyleagues.com, Instagram at legacy_leagues. It's a 12-team single elimination bracket, so every game somebody advances and somebody goes home. We'll go, Kyler. We'll just keep flipping back and forth. Kyler, so looking at the matchups, your finals pick, like 2 teams, and then who you have winning it all of those 2 teams, and then we'll wrap it up.
I think it'll be Game Breakers Lob, which is kind of a boring pick because that is the 1 and the 2. But I think the Game Breakers win it.
How come?
I think that with both Charles Alexander and with Jose Mercado, Lob will have a tougher time. And I think that if you put Gian defensively on Joe Secator, he could really cause some trouble. And in these games where Joe Secator has been open for threes, he's been hitting them over and over and over again and killing teams. The only thing is, can they lock up the lobs from Kavai and Joe Secator with the big men? And I think they can.
All right, so a pick for Game Breakers over Lob City, which would be our top 2 seeds facing off in the finals. All right, Matt, your finals matchup, and then who you got and why.
I'm trying to think of the bracket lineup again right now.
All right, so we have Lob City would play the winner of Road Dogs and All Talk Sports, and then Washed Up Boys and Halfway Crooks and Muffin Tops are on that side. And then it is Game Breakers getting the winner of Providence Defense All Waves, and they're on the same side as the Skyhawks, who get the winner of Air Mambas and Velocity. So the top 4 seeds, if you want to do regions, would be Lob City and Washed Up in the semis, if it goes chalk, and Game Breakers Skyhawks on the other side.
So I think I'm going to go with Lob City and Skyhawks, and I'm going to be interested and go Skyhawks champions.
All right, how come?
Just because I like watching them play. They play fast, they shoot well. Noah James has been an exceptional player all year, and the team is very driven and dependent on him. So if he can keep playing well, I think they can find success. And I forget when they played Lob City, but I know it was a very close game when they played, and I think if they bring the edge, they can get a victory over them.
I'm checking. Hold on one second. Did they? I don't think they played Lob City, so there you go. That would be their first time matchup. So there you go. So that would be 2 new teams facing off in the finals. And, for the first time playing each other. Lob City's been here before and is actually undefeated in the finals. There's your fun fact of the day. The one time they didn't win it, they actually fell in the semis. So every time they get to the finals, they win it. So far, 7-0, 8-0. I'm losing count. I think it's 8-0. They will correct me. It is 8-0. 8-0 in the finals for Lob City. The Lob City Invitational, and I'm kidding, but the Lob City Invitational is back in action starting on Monday with our first round, followed by the quarterfinals the next week, the semifinals on Monday the 19th, and the finals on Monday, August 26th. You can watch every game live on YouTube. Kyler and Matt, good job. Some interesting picks. We'll see. We'll see if I'm sure the Air Mambas would like to crash the party, right, and get into the Final Four and kind of break up some of those picks. We'll end it, and it's only right. I forgot to do it in the interview, but I will be sure to do it if there's multiple interviews this season. I'd hate to play the Halfway Crooks. Some slander on this show about the Halfway Crooks, but I just hate to play them. That's all. Doesn't mean we're going to win the whole thing. I mean, maybe. But I just hate to play them. It's not a fun time. Thanks for watching the post-game show, Kyler and Matt. Good job, and stay tuned to thelegacyleagues.com.